Welcome there, A51 Raceway, and today we are starting a scratch build. And our scratch build will be a 65 Fairlane Stalker. The body is on its way, and I'm going to start the chassis, so let's move on over to the bench and check it out. Alright, welcome to the bench here. We have our motor bracket and our motor here. We got our tubing in, and what I've basically done was make sure this is equal distance as best as possible from the outside of this bracket to the end of the tube, and that's fine. And we're going to use 1/8 inch axles for this build because we're using the deep insert wheels from CB Design. And if you pretty much this is what we're going to start our build with. And all we're going to do is solder this tube on there, and see we cleaned everything. And we mounted our motor here. I'm not really screwed it on, but it is pushed on and held on by pins. So what we usually want to do is when we do these brackets is have the motor connected to your bracket, and that way you could just get a nice, fitment of everything. It's just kind of a good practice to make sure everything's square as your bracket's lying on the block along and lined up with the motor. So, and then what we're going to do here is we're going to just solder real quickly. And let me get my soldering iron ready, which won't take long. And what we're going to do again is we are going to, and this is basically what I've done in other videos, is solder here and here. And I will move the camera closer. And here we are. We have everything ready to go. Iron's ready to go, hot and ready to go. And we're going to add flux to these two locations. So here and here. You could use a brush, an eyedropper, whatever is easier for you. I use a little dropper and do a little drop right there. Put this right there. My iron. There we go. It's a little dirty, need to be clean. And all we're doing is just applying heat. You can see the flux lets the solder flow all over the tube and everything. Again, keeping everything clean is important. Keeping your iron clean is along with your brass parts, making sure they're clean too when you solder. That's it for that one. Excuse me. Do the other side. Not very difficult to do. Add a little drop there. That's enough. Again, add our solder. Just like that. Come on the back side here like this. And just let it flow. I didn't use that much that time. I used a little bit more on the other side, but you could see a little bit will go a long ways as well. So there you go. And there's your first part there. All done. Then the next thing we're going to do is solder the bushings. One thing you can do, now when this is done, it's very hot, so I usually get a little spray bottle and just to let the heat dissipate. And you can see how hot that is, how the heat dissipated. Remove the pins, everything's still in place. Then what I'll do next is I will add a little bit of solder in the tube. Put a drop in there. That's enough. You could use a brush with that instead of that. I'll get a little bit of solder again, not that much. Oh, wait, this didn't go. And I'll go on the inside here and kind of do this. All I'm doing is just kind of coating the inside of the tube. And I'll do the same with the other side. Get these pins out of the way, and I'll show you how I do that. And you could also pick it up if you need to, or to pick the board up is what I mean, not the actual part. And then all I'll do is put a little bit here like that. I'll get some solder. Get my solder over here. Just like so. And then I'll just go right in here like this and just kind of move my iron around. And all I'm doing is adding solder in there. In the inside of the tube. So this will aid in when it's, you see how hot that is. When you're soldering it, it'll aid in the solder actually flowing outside of the bushing, and to make a better how would you say, soldering point. And let me cool it off. Very hot right now. So I'm going to put my bushing in. Now if you have a little trouble where it's a little hard to do that, where you can't, I'll see, slip the bushing in there flush, you can get a little X-Acto blade and just trim off a little. It's not going to kill it until the bushing fits inside. And again, even if it doesn't fit inside, let me scrape a little bit more. I may have put a little bit too much, but you can continue scraping this because it is lead. And just make sure you get it enough to where you could put the bushing all the way in. And again, you just got to keep trimming here and there. Just like that. That slipped in there fine. Let me get this one here. Right there. Now we're going to put our axle in. We could do that. So you want to slip your axle in. And this will sure alignment. Everything's lined up. Of course, everything's bouncing around right now because it's being a little stubborn. So you may run into that. Here again. And again, you just got to work your way through everything sometimes. Things won't fit in, you just got to get it there. So now we have everything in place here. Let me reset these here. Let me get a little bit of pins to keep this from moving around. Seems like it's moving a little bit, so you could always repin it if you need to. Keep it from moving around. Just like that. Okay. Now I get everything down where we need it to be. Bushings in. Then what you could do is pin here, because you just don't want the bushings to move. Once you add heat, that solder on the inside of the tube is going to come out and make a nice sealed area. There we go. Just tight, down, and secure. Got our bushings in there square. And then there's my iron going crazy. Clean it up again. It's signaling it's going to shut off. So. Alright, it's a clean spot. What we're going to do is get our solder again. A little bit right there, there. And you could use a little, throwaway brush. I'm just using an eyedropper. It's up to you how you want to do it. And we're going to get some solder. My poor iron is just not cooperating. So that may be a little bit too much. Get a little bit. Don't want to use this massive amount because we got the solder on the inside there. Then we're going to put a little heat. And again, the other solder from the inside of the tube is coming out as well because you've heated everything up. And just like that. Have everything done. Put a little bit here. Come over here. And as you add heat, the solder from the inside of the tube is going to come out and help you aid in making sure the bushing is soldered in place. And there you go. You don't want to fillet your hands. You can see all the little steam coming up there. That's how hot the brass really transmits heat. And we'll take these out. And I should be able to touch it, I hope. And I'll take the bracket out, the motor out here. And there you go. Make sure this slides in nice. And it does. Nice alignment there. And that's it. Once you work this through here, it will open up a little. And obviously when you oil it, but when you get this all said and done, you'll check it and kind of maybe, see if it fits really well. But that's pretty good. And again, that's pretty much it. And that's set to go to put rails in. That's the first step of this build. I'm sharing this with you again, just showing people scratch building, and look forward to the next video segment. Take care and have fun racing.